Hello, everybody. I hope you're having a good day. And today I'm going to get back to more level building in the Endless Mission. So I'm going to continue building my rooftops Dawn City Heist level as a full level with environment props. And I think today I'll also be working on some behavior changes for the drones and just trying to incorporate some of the playtest feedback to make it feel better to play and also look a lot better than it did when it was just a bunch of gray boxes. So I'm going to open up the task on the website here. And this actually, I'm just going to take a look at the requirements here as a reminder. So we need at least one use of each mechanic, which we have that was already in the gray box. It should be fully playable from start to finish with no game-breaking exploits or bugs. So that's something I'll take a look at. Some of the playtest feedback that I got was that you could just sprint past everything and you don't even have to worry about the drones. So I definitely want it to be challenging with no exploits like that. And then finally use environment props to create a visually appealing, thematically consistent space. So we are most of the way there, but that's the first thing I'll tackle today. So let's hop into the editor inside the Endless Mission, and I have my level pulled up here. So this is the rooftop heist level. And in the past couple of streams, I've gotten like the entrance area and a couple of rooftops and structures here. I made this building with kind of a semi-transparent roof to look kind of like a glass dome and some cargo containers kind of floating and then on the other platform there. So I think I will just run through this and show what I have so far. And then I'll get right back into building the level. So let's give that a second to load. And so I'm just gonna run past here. Oh yeah, this was another thing. I might do this first because I keep forgetting to do it, but this jump here is a little bit tricky to make, so I might just extend that out just a touch. Okay, so we have this area, this drone over here. If I go over here, he will leave me alone. There's this with these kind of funky-looking metal pathways. And then there's this room with this drone who will kind of pass here, and the target treasure right there, this power crystal. There's some hiding spots in here, but I think that was another thing I wanted to adjust, was to make those a little more useful. So if I run back out here and go up this way, another platform and some more pathways to this platform. I can get this. I'm just going to run. So we're starting to see how if I sprint, which I'm doing right now by holding shift, I can just kind of get past them without even worrying about it. Let's get these coins on these floating containers, which actually look like cargo containers now. And there's also some over here as the platform things. And get some keys. And so that is the area over there that I haven't built yet. So it's disabled in the editor, and it just looks like invisible stuff with a bunch of gameplay objects floating up there. But let's take a look at that and actually make it look good. But first I do want to change those rooftops at the very beginning, because that jump, every other time I try it, I fall. And I don't want that to happen. So let's see. I'm just going to hop into full view. I'll be using full view to do most of this work, just because it's a bit easier. And it's all these awnings are what I'm using as the platform here. So I think if I just pull this out a little, and then the same for the awnings on this guy. I'm just increasing the scale a little bit. And that should hopefully make that an easier jump. Let me just test that really quickly. Of course, you can see from this view that the edges of that awning model are clipping through the building, but the player can't really see that when they're in the alleyway, so that's okay. Like, it just looks like it's built out of the building, which is what I want. So if I hop up here now, hop onto here, no trouble there. And once again, I'm having an issue. Part of it may be to do with the slant of the roof, because if I just don't move at all, you can see me slowly sliding, and that might cause an issue with the character controller while you're trying to jump. This is better than it was before, but I would like it to not cause problems at all. So I might just take the one on the right-hand side, and rotate it a little bit so it slides you less while you're trying to jump. So these ones, where are we? Full view. I'll grab these ones once again, and I'm just going to rotate them just a little bit. And hopefully that doesn't look too janky. I think that's okay. So I'll just playtest that one last time. I think that should be acceptable. So let's jump up here. I jump up here, and now I'm not having any problems. Perfect. Okay. For next, I'm going to tackle the far region, kind of the end of the level, and start replacing the boxes that were there with things that actually look good and look more science fiction and appropriate for this sci-fi city. So I think that's this final area. If I enable that, I can see the gray boxes. And let's do some organization. Or maybe I don't need to. Let me just start with this building. So I'm going to leave that there, and I'm going to look for city building. That's what I've been using for these, and I think it's the city building megastructure pieces that I've been using. So once this loads, I'm going to take a look at the little preview it gives me and choose one that looks nice for this. So what is this? That one might work. I would want to use the other side of it and rotate it around a bit. That one's okay. That one's kind of cool. Let me see what we already have. I want to kind of have a variety of different building facades to look at, because I think that will be cooler and more visually interesting. So let's try, I'm going to try building piece 1, I think. Or maybe building piece 3. Let's do building piece 3. So to do that, I'm going to take building piece 3 and stick that right there. Wow, that's really big. Instead of doing that, oh, I accidentally made it a child of the original building. That's not what I wanted. I'm just going to drag that over there and put that over here. So now it's in the right category. I'll rotate that so it's facing this way. And that looks kind of cool. But I'm going to make it even better by making it bigger and match the scale of the original building here. So let's drag that down just a touch. And now I can make it bigger. And then once I'm done with that, I'll just recolor the rooftop with a material manager. So that looks pretty much right. I think that's good. So now I will take the original building and disable that. And I'll take the rooftop and clear this out and look for a material manager. Drag that onto there. And I'm just going to make this that dark gray color, because that has been working out pretty nicely for me so far. We also have this walkway here. The walkways that I did over here, I replaced with those modular walkways, which are kind of high-tech looking, so I can do the same thing here. Let's close that up. And where was I? Final area. Let's look for modular. Okay. And I'll put that right there. Now I can rotate it. But yeah, make this easier for myself again and disable the gameplay objects so I can just look at the scene. And I'll drag this into here. Really important, to me at least, to keep everything organized because it just makes my life easier when I'm trying to navigate the hierarchy. It really sucks if you wind up with like hundreds or even thousands of game objects in your hierarchy and you need to find something specific and you can't click on it because maybe something else is blocking it in your scene view. And that's just a really frustrating situation to be in. So we can avoid that by just using good organization practices and keeping everything nice and clean. And I want to get this just about the same as the original. That should be about right, I think. So it doesn't need to occupy exactly the same space, but it should have the same function. So let's disable this. As long as the player can walk up here without an issue, that should be fine. So I should play test that. I'm going to save. And just test and see if I can walk up over that without problems. The character controller that we're using for the first-person player, it can handle a variety of terrain. So it can go up slopes, it can go over small ledges without a problem. But if a ledge is steep enough, it will just stop like a wall. And that is annoying if you expect to be able to walk over something and you just stop. So let's see. If I just keep walking, okay, I can get up here and get over there. You can see there was a bit of a hitch when I started to go over the rooftop ledge, but it's pretty brief, so I think that is okay. And it works for me. So let's go back to the editor. I think the only things I have left are the open storage containers and the couple of storage containers on this building, and then this, I don't know what I called this, like maintenance tunnel or something. Oh yeah, and I also decided to give Oni a funky little ship at the end of this level. I may or may not keep that. We don't actually have a ship model for Oni yet. Dan, if you're out there, maybe that's something we will eventually create, but for the meantime, what I will probably do is just like recolor those shapes. It will look a little silly, but that's okay. Okay. I don't actually know if there's an open storage container model. I hope that there is. This one is solid. There might not be. Let's see. Container? There's not really what I'm looking for. Storage. Oh. Okay. So there's a couple of different things I could do here. What I would like is for these boxes to basically look like these storage containers, the connexes they're called, but to have this hollow space inside, because the player should be able to duck in there and hide, and there's going to be like a couple of coins and things in there. But I don't have a model that looks like this but is hollow on the inside. So what I could do is I could just recolor these boxes and make them red. And it won't be exactly the same. They won't have the texture, but it may communicate the idea well enough. Or I could be sneaky and take a couple of these and like decrease the scale and make them really skinny and just use them as the edges. That might work. Again, it might look kind of silly, but it might work. So I think what I'm going to do is try it. I'm going to take this Conex main... Oh, this flying Conex actually is what I want. It doesn't have the particles because it's on the ground. Although these ones I actually do want to have the particles. So let me grab one of these. Whoops. Where are we? Flying Conex. That's what I want. So I'm going to duplicate this and put it in the final area. Close out this middle buildings because I don't want that. And let's move this over here. Bring it up a bit. So now you can kind of see those purple, like, I don't know what it's supposed to be, but thruster particles, I guess. That makes it kind of look like it's floating. So my goal here is to take this container and basically duplicate it a bunch of times and shrink each one to be like one side of this, because I think that will keep the texture and the color of the sides of it while not closing off my space. Like I'll still have a space inside of here. So let me just do that and kind of demonstrate what I'm talking about here. So this one here, I'm going to duplicate this first. I'll deactivate this because I don't want to look at two at the same time. But this one I want to be the bottom and the structure of it. So I want to leave the frame on there. These bars I don't need. I'm going to delete these. The main body is that model. Let's see if I deactivate that. Interesting. I'm going to leave it active, but I'm going to shrink it. So I'm gonna and make that just like the floor. What I may actually do is bring this whole one down a bit. And then I'm going to move the effects particles down a bit as well, because I don't want those to poke up through the floor like they were doing. So now you can still see like the texture of it, but it doesn't block out my space. Although it kind of does, because it still has this box on it, the box collider. So what I'm going to do is... Actually, I was going to delete it, but I do want the bottom to have collision. I'm not quite sure... Oh, okay. The box collider is associated with the whole thing, not just the main body. That's a little bothersome, but that's okay. I will just make this smaller. So let's try 1. Okay. It's a little frustrating that the collision is on the whole object itself and not just the Conex main body model. I think I did that because I think these didn't have any collision at first and I put collision on them. So that's my mistake. But it's all good. We're going to work it out. Trying to decide how I want to do that. What I may do is get rid of that box collider and put it manually on the Conex bit. So let me search box. Collider component is what we want. Put that on the Conex main body. And now we can see that green box kind of hanging out in there. Let me just increase the size. Not the whole Conex, the box collider. So I can't actually drag it like that. Bit of a hassle, but this is the consequences for my actions. Which one is it? Z? Is it X? Is it Y? It's confusing me a little bit. I'm not quite sure what axes I'm working with. Looks like it's poking through the bottom there, so I'm going to move the center pivot. It's interesting. Oh, okay. It's because it's rotated. This is a hassle. This strategy may not work out for me. I have a new plan. I'm going to get rid of this box collider also. And what I may do, this is kind of silly, but what I may do is leave this original open Conex, but I might make it transparent. And what that will do is allow me to use its collision, but without seeing the white box part of it. We may still be able to see it just a little bit because even with a completely transparent material, you can kind of see the shape, but I think it will be better than trying to do what I was doing before. This is a little bit of a hacky way of doing it, but that's okay. So to do this, I put a material manager on this white box Conex empty thing, and I'm going to drag Smart Material Transparent into the material field. And then I'll take its main color and take this A for alpha and drag it all the way down to 0. So you can very slightly see the shape of it, especially like if the light reflects on it like that, but it's mostly invisible and I still get to use its collision, which is what I want. So anyway, we have our flying Conex bottom here, and what I want is to duplicate the body, and this one's going to be the top. So I'm actually going to take the open Conex. Where was it? Conex empty. Here we are. I'm going to refrain from having this completely invisible while I'm still working with the shape of it, and then that'll be the last thing I do. And then instead of repeating this whole process for my other two, because they're the same shape, I'm just going to duplicate this one that's already done. But anyway, so here's our roof. Let's finish dragging that up all the way to the top of where that is. Probably could have made this a little more opaque, but that's okay. And now I need my sides, so I'll duplicate again. This one, I'm going to increase the Z to 1 again. All the way down, flush with the rest. And then I'll just make it skinny. Move it over here to align with that wall. And now, see, I still get the texture of the Conex walls. And that is what I want. And so I just duplicate this for the other side. Whoops, that didn't duplicate. Wait. Oh. And that's about right. And then finally, I just need a back wall. So I'll duplicate this one again and reset that to 1. It back in the middle. And now I just need to make it skinny, but this direction. There we go. So what may happen is we may have some what's called Z fighting, where the objects are clipping through each other and it looks kind of gross and weird. But I'm gonna have to playtest to see that in action, so I'll see how well this works. And then finally, for our door here, I think I'm just going to duplicate that and put it down here and rotate it. And then maybe... Oh, that's interesting. The scale changed when I rotated it. I think I had this problem before. How do I do this? What I may do instead is delete this and just put a material on this and see how that looks. If it looks bad, I'll try to do what I was doing before, but I don't know. Sometimes it's just trial and error to see what works with the objects that you're using. Let's see. How does that... Honestly, that looks pretty much fine to me. So I'm going to keep that as my wall, and that makes my life a little bit easier. Okay, so finally, last thing is taking this and making it completely transparent. And voila, we have our open connex, which the model did not exist for. And you can still kind of see the particles coming through the bottom, so I'm gonna move those a bit down so that they stop doing that. And then from the side, you can see it kind of looks like it's floating. That's what I want. So I'm gonna take this flying connex. I'll rename it to open connex. And I actually want to preserve the connex empty part of this, so I'm gonna actually call this gray box connex. Leave it enabled. I'm going to make it a child of open connex, so that we have the gray box connex perfectly aligned with my models. And then I'm going to take open connex and duplicate it. Move it over to the side here to match up with this other one. And then I can just delete this one. And then we have one more. This one is a bit special because it uses a door object. If I were to enable gameplay, you would be able to see that. This one has an unlockable door and it has 3 coins in it. So I only really need the model. I don't need the door. So I'm going to take the gray box connex part of it. This single wall is what I was using for the door. I'm just going to delete that. And then I'll move this down a bit to match up more closely. And then I can just take the last open connex. Where was it? Here it is. And I'm just going to disable that. So now we have our 3 open connex containers. And if I enable gameplay, should see... Well, of course, that enables all the drones. But if I playtest this, you should be able to see the door that's on that. So I'm going to disable that real quick and take these other connexes that I had just kind of parked and duplicate them to put for the other ones in this area. Close this up. And I will take this and move it over here. Building's a bit higher up than the last one, so I'll move it up. So close to being done with all the props. It's exciting. This level looks very different than it did when it was all gray boxes. Maybe I'll do a comparison when I'm finished. Okay, so that one looks about right. Can take that and disable it. And then just duplicate, move this over here. And I'll disable this one. So now we have that building pretty much done, except for the maintenance tunnel out here. And for this, I think I'm just going to apply some materials to the models that I already have here. Although one of them is poking out the side, and that frustrates me, so I'm going to move it a little bit. Okay. If I move this, there we go. That is better. Okay. So I'm just going to apply some fancy materials to this and make it look cool. So on pipe full, I will put a material manager. And also on cube empty full. And let's filter by materials and clear my search criteria. So we have these kind of sci-fi looking ones that we've seen before. I think for the pipe, which is this octagon, I think I'm going to put track sci-fi metal on that and see how it looks. I have to go down to the material manager, drag this in here. And that, once it's not doing that Z fighting, that's what I was describing, where you can see the two materials overlapping and clipping into each other along the same plane. I may need to actually change the shape of this so that that doesn't happen. So I'm going to increase the scale a bit on both of these axes so that it just kind of fits snugly against it without being on the same plane. There we go. So now we don't get that happening anymore. So now we have this cool looking tunnel, and I'm going to try a different material on this. There we go. I think that looks fine. And then finally, for Oni's ship back here, I think I will also do the same thing. I'm just going to put some materials on it, even though it looks a bit silly, just because we don't have a ship model. I mean, I might do a little bit of searching here to see what we do have. So if I search ship, anything, by entity to see if there's game objects here. Flying. That's weird. I know there's flying Conex, but I don't know. Thruster. I know there's a thruster model in here somewhere. This thing. Base, thruster nozzle expander. I think these actually go on some of the floating buildings. So, what would that be? Megastructure? Let's see. City building megastructure, or like city building group or something like that. Maybe not. Oh well, that's okay. I will just have to put materials on these then. So, material manager, once again, I'm just going to put the material managers on everything. Except for Oni. Is this a model? Yes, it is. I have a bad habit of making models parents, which means to have all these things like go under it so that it's like a folder here. But what that means is it's tricky to separate them when I need to. Like if I just want to change the scale or rotation of the one model, if it's the parent, it's going to change the rotation or the scale of everything. I think it might be okay if I just have the material manager. So let me try that. I'm just going to turn this a color so I can see. Okay. Yeah. So if it's just a color, it's fine. You know what? It would be kind of funny if I made her ship like a clown car with all these different colors. Make it look like... Oh man. This is not final. I'm just messing around right now to get my bearings with these materials. This is Oni's very fancy ship that looks like a fast food restaurant play place. There we go. That's perfect. I think it will be more appropriate to put some of those like sci-fi materials on, or if I make this like semi-transparent. So let's drag smart material transparent into here. I'm going to make this kind of a bluish color and turn the alpha down so it's semi-transparent and looks kind of like glass. And then this bottom one, which Oni's ship, that's what it is. Let's go filter by material and grab, let's try track metal siding, see what that looks like. That just looks like black. Sci-fi metal, maybe? Interesting. That didn't change it. Oh, I don't have the right thing selected. That's why. Oops. That's important to make sure that you are selecting the right thing when you're changing these materials, because otherwise it's not going to work out for you. And also, the main color will still change the color of materials that you have on there. So like I had that as a red material. Whoa, where did that go? And what it does is it just tints the color of the material that you do have on there, which I don't want. So I'm going to have that as pure white, and that'll be the base color. Let's try sci-fi metal. That kind of makes it look too similar to the tunnel, because that's the same material. Track metal, we'll just make it black, I think. If I try, let's put it back to metal siding for now. I think that might be the best that I can do. For this door, which is this one, I might... I want it to stand out, but we don't have a whole lot of materials to work with to make that happen. So it might just look kind of black like that. So instead, I might actually just put the standard material on this and have it be a solid color. Maybe a gray, or like a grayish blue. That's starting to look somewhat ship-like. And again, this is all like, because there's no ship model, I'm just having to improvise. Let's also make this a grayish color. And finally, this platform, I'm just going to make this a dark gray. I don't really care. Okay. So now there's our our ship destination. It doesn't look great, I'm not going to lie. But that's okay. That's probably as good as it's going to get right now. I kind of liked how the glass on that looked better than this glass dome, so I might change the color here to be more like that, which I think it was a brighter, almost cyan kind of color with a higher alpha. So let's do like that. Okay, so now this whole level should be skinned to look more appropriate for the setting of Dawn City Heist. It looks like an industrial, it's supposed to be like a loading bay in Dawn City, and I think I'm pretty happy with that. The things that this is missing to really elevate it are extra lighting, so like more street light kind of things like I have in that alley. Particle effects like fog or rain, and just other minor environment props that I could put to kind of spruce it up. But those things are, I would categorize them more as polish. So they don't directly impact the gameplay. They aren't necessarily hugely impactful for the player experience. Now they can be. Like, definitely they add atmosphere and change the way the player feels while playing the level, but they don't hugely impact gameplay, which is our focus right now. So I'm going to hold off on those kind of things, like fog or putting buildings in the background or adding extra props around. I'm going to wait and do that until we get to our next phase, which is polishing these levels, and then I will really make it look fancy and add some more set dressing like that. So until then, I am actually just going to enable gameplay again and playtest this and make sure everything looks spiffy. And that drone sound effect at the beginning, I mention it every time, but it's not intentional. There may be a way that I can fix that, but it's something that I have to look into separately. But anyway, so we have our alley here. Seen that a bunch of times already. And I fell down again because it's tricky not to. I wonder if I should even rotate that a little more upwards, like I did before. So here comes a drone. I think I already made this guy faster. That was one of the last things that I did. I hide in here so he goes away. And hide again because he saw me again. And move past. Now I'll hop up here. Grab my coins. I noticed that it gets pretty dark here in the shadow. It might be a good place for some extra lighting, like if I were to put some lamps up on the underside of this platform, which there is a lamp model specifically for Dawn City Heist that I can show. So here's this guy, he has a coin right there. And he's gonna see me. Oh, I hid in time. That's the kind of gameplay moments that I want to get, where you're like, oh no, he's going to see me, but then you sneak past just in time. I think that's fun when that happens. So this is another good place for a light, because it's really dark back here. You can't even see the coins and the key card, which is important for gameplay. Sneak up past this guy who is coming there, and I'm going to hide in here. Now we can see the arrows on there indicating that that is the exit. I'm going to swoosh over here. I think that coin was clipping a little bit through the ground, so I might move that a bit. And here you can see, here's my last Conex, which, because the door model just looks like that, it's a little silly. Oh, uh-oh, I got spotted. Oh no. Okay, they got me there. Well, that's okay. I still need to hop into this building, so here and go through this pathway. Get in here, grab this treasure. And again, I want to change the locations of hiding spots in here to make that more challenging, or maybe even swap that drone with like 2 faster drones, I don't know. Zoom up here, get these coins. Again, it's kind of hard to see here, so it might be a good place for some lights. Hop down here and sneak past. Coming, he's coming. Let's wait for him. Follow him, all sneaky-like. Let me just hide in here for a bit. Stay on the outside of his vision, and now it's also dark inside these storage units because they completely block the light from outside. So I might want to put some lamps in there. Oh, and we didn't get to see this open because when I was opening it, I was also getting caught by this drone. There's 3 coins in here. Again, hard to see, so I think lamps inside of there might be good. But anyway, I think I'm all set. I haven't got all the coins. I think there were some coins that I missed in that big building. I couldn't really see them very well, so maybe another place for lights. But here's the exit. Open this big giant door, and here's the ship. And now I climb in, and job complete. So let's go to the editor and make a couple of adjustments. I want to change the gameplay of the drones and make them a little bit faster and trickier to get away from. I think some of the ones that I did make changes to, like this guy, the first one that you come upon, I think he's pretty good now. And this one seemed maybe okay. But let's take a closer look at this drone. So patrol bots. Which one? This guy. So, oh wait, this is the wrong one, but also probably still needs changes. I think what I decided was that it should cut off about a second of the time that it takes for them to get to each point. So this is when he's going from here to here. And I want this to go a little bit faster. Let's see. So it takes 3.5 seconds. I'm going to shave that down to 2.5 seconds. And then... Oh, and also the rotation. How long does that take? It takes 1.5 seconds. I'm going to change that to 1 second because he's only making a quarter turn. He's only turning 90 degrees there. So that I don't think that should take that long. And then from there to there, that should be pretty short. It takes him 1 second to go that far. That seems about right to me. I think it should take 1 second to rotate as well. And then I want this to be mirrored because it's the same distance. So 2.5 seconds to go that far, and then 1 second to turn. The very first one is the mirror of the far point. So 1 second to move that far, 1 second to turn that much. And I could test just that guy, but I also want to test the guy down here, which one is he? This one. So let's take a look at his patrol nodes. And again, these are what dictates their path and their movement. So it both is the position that they're moving towards, and it tells you how long it takes them to get there. So it takes 3 whole seconds to move that far. I think I'm going to shave that down to 2 seconds. And the rotation, this one is a full turn, so he turns all the way around. I think I'll leave that at 1.5 seconds. That feels appropriate to me. So let's take this one and also change that to 2 seconds. Move that far. And I'm going to test those. So what I want is for the drones to be harder to sneak around, which what I've done is basically shave the amount of time that you have, like the windows of time that you have to get past them, and hopefully that will be good. This guy is feeling kind of speedy, and that feels pretty good. So let's try this guy. So now he's moving about the same speed as that other guy, it seems like. Turn around, and I'm going to hide in here. He did see me, but only for a second. It seems like if that happens, their vision cone turns red, and then it doesn't go back to white for a bit, which shouldn't happen. But that feels appropriately challenging to me. This guy, he does take a long time to get to his destination, but also he turns around to face you directly, and you have to follow him like that, so that might not be so bad. I might change the amount of time it takes him to turn, though. Maybe shave that down, depending. And maybe shave like a quarter or a half a second off of that. For this guy, he's moving at a pretty leisurely pace. Floating along, so I think he needs to be faster. Also, I'm going to test what happens if I jump off the building. I respawn back here. That is intended, so that's good that that's working. And finally, we changed the guy up here. It's tricky. A little bit tricky. I have nowhere to go once he sees me up there, so I might even add more hiding spots to that area. The next... I think the drones that I need to change their speeds are the one on that bridge on the walkway at the end of this building up here. I'm gonna run over here. This guy, I think, could be a little bit faster and maybe turn faster, I'm not sure. That guy needs to be faster for sure. And then the guy in the building, I would like to make a few changes to him. So let's go back. I don't think I have much time left today. I have about 9 minutes, so let's see what we can do in that time. I think at a minimum I can make them faster. So let's look at our bots again. This guy is the one who goes... Whoa, that was really far away. This is the one who goes back and forth over that walkway. So let's take a look at his nodes. The move node, it takes him 5 seconds to go that far, and 1.5 seconds to turn around. So that's consistent with the other ones turning, so maybe I'll leave the turning alone. But I'll shave that down to 4 and 2/3 of a second. I don't know. I'm concerned that the player won't have enough time to go and hide in this hiding spot. That's my worry. So I'm just going to shave 1/3 of a second off of that time. And that should be exactly the same for this other node. So I'll put that 4.66. And hopefully that will be better. For this other guy, I need to make him a lot faster. So let's change the nodes. This is how long it takes him to make this movement here. That's 1 second. That feels okay. The rotation takes 1.5 seconds, but it's only a quarter turn. So to make it consistent with the other drone that has this rectangular path, I'll make that take 1 second. And then to get across there, that takes him 3.5 seconds. That feels like a long time. I'm going to shave that down to 2 seconds. And the rotation should be 1. And then again, it's just the same for these guys. Takes 1 second to move there. Change that to 1 second to turn. And this guy should go 2 seconds at that point, and he should move a lot faster now. Hopefully that will be better. And then finally, we have our patrol bot in this building. So let's take a look at him. So how long does it take to get to this one? 2 seconds. That doesn't feel bad, necessarily. 1.5 seconds to turn. So let's shave that down to 1 second to match the others. 1 second to move there. This guy, I'm making the exact same changes to. I'll have him turn faster and take 2 seconds to move to each point. This one should be 1 second. For now, he should turn faster at least, but I'm not sure about the coins in here. Part of the problem was that they were hard to see. Oh, wait a minute. Can you even get to the coins? I know there were coins in here. That's something to investigate. There's supposed to be corns. There's supposed to be coins in this building, not corn. That would be a little bit random. But I can't see them. I'm wondering if they might be inside the wall. I think that is a very real possibility. So it looks like when I moved things around a bit, the coins got stuck inside the wall in this building, which would explain why I wasn't seeing them when I was playtesting. So, to fix that, I have to go track these coins down. Unfortunately, I did not organize my coins by building, which is why you should always organize your stuff. Wow, I'm getting real tongue-tied right now. These three. Let's take these and move them further into the building. So now they're not behind the wall anymore. That should be okay. And then the other three that were sandwiched between these, let's move them inside the building as well. There we go. So I'm not sure if that's an appropriate level of challenge in there. Let's save this and test and find out. I'm surprised I didn't notice that those were inside the wall before now, but that's the kind of thing you gotta look out for. Sometimes things will just not be where you expect them to be. I think I must have changed the scale of that object while I was applying the material and getting it to look right. So that's something to be cognizant of. You want to make sure that you're not messing up the gameplay with the changes that you make for visual flair. Let's see. So now I can see some coins over here. I'm just walking, I'm not sprinting. So I think this guy still needs some work. Yeah, these coins are really hard to see. It's so dark in here. I don't have to hide at all at his current speed. I just have to move and keep moving. And I don't love that. So I think I may replace this drone with two drones that have different paths. Or alternatively, I might adjust his patrol pattern and add another drone that has a different one. I don't know. But that needs to be more challenging than it is, especially because that's where the target treasure is, which is the main thing that we're after. So I'm just going to run up here and test the other drones that I made changes to, which are this guy. So he moves a little faster now. That's actually kind of worrisome. I'm worried he's going to turn around and get me. So he saw me, but I was able to hide. So that's okay. This one is a little faster now. I still have to move this coin so it doesn't clip through the ground. This is another one where, despite its faster movement, I really don't have to hide. I just have to keep moving. So maybe that's another area where I could add another drone, maybe one who goes back and forth between here and there. Or I could continue to try and make it a little bit faster. Oh, did I not get the key? I didn't get the key for this. It's also a little bit weird that he doesn't see me when he's moving there, because I can be out in the open there. Oh no, he's gonna get me. Well. So that's maybe something I could work on, is it a bit more appropriately challenging to be in that area. Anyway, I collected the key card. Oh well. It's not where I want it to be, and I messed up the timing, so now I have to wait. Fast. I'll sneak up behind him, and if I'm walking, I can still get past him. I think that's about the timing that I want. Oh no. If I'm behind this Conex, he will stop chasing me. The which is desired because you're breaking line of sight. I didn't want the player to be caught even if they were behind a solid object. So here we go. I got the key and then I opened that. Now I get those coins. Hello. See, that feels a little wonky, just being able to walk right out of there while he's looking right at you, just because his vision cone isn't active. So I think another drone over there, or maybe changing that path, might be ideal. So anyway, I think I've successfully made some changes to this level, and I have it fully revamped with all the nice environment props. So this meets the requirements right now for a full level. So I could, if I were doing this task, I could submit it like this and it would be just fine. I think I will make a couple more adjustments to the gameplay just to make the drones feel a little bit better, and then I would submit this. So thanks for watching, and I think the next thing that I will do for continued Dawn City Heist streams is do this same process for a different level. So I might do another one of my gray box levels, or I might take somebody else's gray box, like Brian's tower level, and do my own take on that. Because for this task, for level building, you don't have to work on a gray box that you personally made. You certainly can if you would like to. But you are totally free to take any of the gray boxes that have been uploaded to the content panel and make them full levels with environment props. So you're free to take any of the ones that we have right now. We have Mansion, which I made. We have Tower, which is from Brian. We have Melody E level. And then we have the one that I just did, which is Rooftops. If you wanted to, you could take DCH Rooftops gray box and you could put your own spin on it with different assets. That would be totally okay. So anyway, thank you very much for watching. As usual, I hope that you enjoyed, or maybe you learned something about level design. And I'm excited to see more full levels for Dawn City Heist come in. So keep at it, guys. Thanks so much.